YouTubers, podcasters, partners.
Burnt entirely to the ground. The house right below ours, and this all on the path of the wind. House lights. It is this very curious spiritual conundrum.
Oh, talk about rage. You guys about to, I hate to rage bait you guys, but you're in this with me.
Of like incredible gratitude that we didn't lose more stuff, that we didn't lose more of our house. And at the same time, like,
or that in some ways I'm still shedding. And I think the judgment thing is
oh, it's all going to be processing, emotional, psychological processing, therapy, get a bunch of 1940 parachuting pants and make it into a shirt.
Is a big piece of it for me that I'm unpacking in therapy still.
Should I put on my oxygen mask?
For a couple of years. I'm a very systemized thinker, and I do like to know a way. Like when I was all in because it provided a sense of security. It provided my particular faith provided answers for me and gave me tracks to run on that reduced my anxiety in one sense. But then again, my day-to-day anxiety was reduced. Like, okay, I've taken care of hell. I've taken care of existential crises.
It's Rick and Morty.
Yes. Give you a little meaning, a little focus.
But my relationship with perceived judgment was overblown in
he's a thinker. You can tell because his hair is blowing away. Yeah, his hair is like, I'm gonna tease my hair up big time. I'm a stylized thinker.
Comparison to grace. And I think that, each individual interacts with the environment, spiritual and otherwise, that they're in. And I know for me that there's...
Yeah, Bowie, exactly. Me, gave me, mine, provided, I, me. He would be unpacking in therapy. Yeah, he'd be unpacking. So it's interesting when people leave these evangelical, modern, heterodox places, events, let's call them event centers, they coincidentally maintain the very worldview that the event centers hold. And then they reject it for a different one. Why? Because it's all self. It's all self-help. So it's like, then I realize that wasn't the best thing for me. And then me. But when you're there, it's the best thing for you. It's just the counter. It's the other side of the hand of this kind of philosophy that's just rampant in heterodox community centers. I want to start calling them community centers.
Have tendencies to latch on.
What community center do you stand in front of with a microphone?
So deeply and in a way that I'll suffer. And so I'm trying to find the right time. I believe there will be a right time for me to start to reapproach my spirituality. And I'm not there as much.
Me. Now, is there a truth to the matter, not to be just so hostile, okay? Because I'm always so hostile. You do need to meet people where they are, but it doesn't follow that you allow them to stay there without nudging. So if you ever meet someone like this guy, and he's your friend or your family or whatever, obviously patience, first and foremost, where they are, acknowledge where they are, know what your limits are as far as to reaching them. But that's not an excuse. You don't just go, oh, well, he's in his spot, so that's it. You don't just let them suffer. Jimbob, hopefully you enjoyed the beautiful video of Indian culture I sent. Oh, man, that was rough, Suzanne. Suzanne Griffith sent me a video clip of how Indians on the beach deal with going to the bathroom. They're like, well, if I feel the need to go, I just... And there was a sea of them squatting, like a sea on the beach, like a bunch of, like they were like sea turtles. Like you could see them in the distance all squatting at the same time.
There is a pattern in our friendship that Rhett tends to be on the, he's pushing the frontier. He's asking questions that impact his worldview and his belief. And then I'm like,
that's already wrong. Your questions are asked from a worldview.
One of his top 2 sounding boards of his entire life. Mm-hmm. So his deconstruction, I caught it. You know, it's contagious.
Yeah.
So I welcome the questions that he's asking now, and the way that he's embracing.
Oh, it's just so female. I mean, once you see it, once you just distinguish like that, men and women, both made in the image of God, both equally valuable in a moral sense from the lens of Christianity, different in how they are, they're like how they operate, different in their duties and place in the world and everywhere else. The distinctions there, once it's like, maybe it's this, once you properly categorize the distinction between man and women from a Christian lens, you can't unsee when men are operating from the female realm. This whole thing is completely female. It's like it's like 100% just female. This is like, you know, like when women, when your wife, you know, has a talk with like her friend or something, they stay a little later talking. They're like processing. You know, they're just processing. Oh, well, I need to deal with what I'm dealing with now, and we're gonna get through what I'm dealing with now, and you'll be stronger for it.
More mystery and openness, and instead of certainty, and I like that for him.
I like that for him. What is this? What is this? A Lululemon live stream? They're just taking a break. Is this lunch? Is this the break room at Lululemon?
And
well, thanks, Lynn.
And if it works out for him, I'm sure it'll probably rub off on me.
Right.
And I'm okay with that, and I actually feel like I'm.
So if
tell us more about how you feel.
If he's the new Jesus, you're the disciple.
For better or worse, I mean that is what happens, and it's
you're
like
Peter.
I'm Peter.
You're going to give
I'm very principled.
those pastors something to run with.
Oh my goodness!
They're always looking for something new to do a commentary video on.
Great.
Dude looks like Donald Sutherland became a Saint Bernard.
Well, and I feel like it might. Honestly, I've had to get a lot more secure about this dynamic. That, what does that mean? I'm not I respect people who their beliefs seem.
You could tell this guy took over an hour and a half at Warby Parker to pick out his glasses. Like, this guy trying to examine and decipher problems. He's like so disqualified because he's just perusing. And he stops at every clothing store, He like looks them up. He like he does a drive with a friend, and they're supposed to just get there on time, like men would. Just let's drive. But he's like, well, I just Googled this vintage shop that says like, oh man, they got some good stuff there, and then they have to stop for him. But there's a bookstore in the back of the vintage shop, and then he has to go back there.
Seem like they well up from within themselves and they're living their own truth. Pardon the phrase, right? And I respect those people. But those aren't the only type of people in the world. And it's not as simple as being a leader or being a follower, because for a while I thought, well, I'm such a follower. Isn't that something to be embarrassed by? And I think that it's different than that. I am on my own journey. I am my own individual.
But I'm just latched to Rhett here. He's got those long spiritual nipples.
And I know I don't take all the bullshit he dishes out. I don't take,
But I'm also not trying to.
because he is an artist at that too.
Oh, come on.
And I know the difference.
I'm not proselytizing you.
And you're not
at all.
Yeah, but
Like, I like one of the most.
you don't have to
one of the
direct
most
it at me for me
freeing
to
things
receive it.
About. First of all, everybody has an agenda. You can't, like, you have your biases. You have an agenda, right? Everyone has it. But there's something super freeing when, in the world that we were in, like when you sat down next to somebody on a plane, you heard that voice, like, you need to engage in a conversation with this person.
Convert them.
You need to get to the gospel. You just need to plant a seed. You don't have to necessarily have a
bring out your
conversion.
Bible
And so there was a lot of guilt that
Yeah.
entered and then when we got into this business of whatever this business,
Yeah, what's the business, Rhett? You kind of self-reported on yourself there, buddy. He just basically admitted that the previous thing he was doing is just a business.
is that we're in.
it's show business, baby. Call it what you like with your YouTube-y kind of world, but you're in show business.
3 people you don't leave your kids with.
And so, like, I remember
10 more, y'all. 10 more for the chat. 35 minutes. Let's get those 10 in, y'all. Help old Jimbob keep the infrastructure at Jortlandia, a floating island in the middle of nowhere, which is YouTube.
early on, because things started to kind of happen for us in like 2007, 2008 or whatever. And 2 things were happening at that point. Because one thing that was happening was we had to leave staff with Campus Crusade in order to say yes to this TV hosting opportunity. And we were like, but this is great. We're going to be lights,
can reach more
lights
people.
in the
Yeah,
world,
yeah,
whatever.
Do I consider this show business? What, this show I'm watching? I mean, kind of. Are you asking, do I consider my own show business? I mean, an element of it is definitely entertaining for entertainment, but my purpose isn't just show business. I have a purpose behind my presentation. My purpose is that you become Orthodox. Downtown, $2,500. Just a little donation from Downtown. Non-demon Christianity, is just theatrics anyway, so calling it a business is actually spot on. Yeah, it is. It's at least honest.
At the same time, my faith was had already begun to shift and crumble as I was kind of getting into like looking at the sort of the foundational truths.
Said YouTube? Yeah, I mean, there's obviously anything on YouTube is for attention. Education is also for attention. So there's even an entertainment value to education. So entertainment itself is not bad. It's just that if you're specifically in the realm of religion, specifically if you're claiming to be Christian, the thing you're involved in can't be categorized as entertainment. That would be a big problem.
Of Christianity. And so those 2 things were sort of unfolding. But one of the things that is great about not being certain is I don't feel that I can engage, but if I engage with somebody, like when I come and speak to you today, like ultimately what I'm interested in is like, you think about this stuff a lot. You've written a book about it.
You know what I like about orthodoxy is that he used that plane example, right? And I know a lot of people. I grew up with a lot of people who have this same view where you approach people and you start pestering them about God, and they say, you just come up and hit them with Jesus loves you and this kind of stuff. And, it's not harmful, by the way. It's just that when you're Orthodox, if you are Orthodox, you went through a process to unlearn a bunch of things, and you came to a view that's holistic. It's not a particular thing like evangelizing. The term evangelizing isn't the same in an Orthodox perspective. The reason is it's not the same is like you wouldn't be sitting on a plane with somebody and just lead with, do you know Jesus, and do the whole evangelical or whatever sect does this aggressive style. What happens is in Orthodoxy, you're not quick selling. You can't quick sell it. You can't quick sell Orthodoxy. You can try. You can try to do an elevator pitch and be like, what if Christ established a true church and it's 2,000 years old, or ultimately on a metaphysical level it's eternal and uncreated? Well, that sounds good, well and good, but you can't do the emotional thing that they do in their evangelizing. You can't do that in Orthodox. You just can't. It's like it's like nearly impossible, because you're not appealing to emotion. You're not doing this one-time testimony where your life was changed and suddenly everything's better. We don't experience that. You can't convey the wholeness of the faith in propositions because it's participatory. So anything you say to get someone interested in Orthodoxy is ultimately, in comparison to bringing them into a divine liturgy and having them experience it for themselves, it's kind of it will dwarf the experience of divine liturgy, will dwarf whatever propositional statements you have. So it's just a completely different paradigm. In fact, you're more likely to get someone interested in Orthodoxy by how you are, even if you said nothing about your faith. You could get people to convert and ask about what it is that makes your life your life. They just want to know. Not because you were good with your words, not because you were able to sling some platitudes in an elevator with somebody. Do you know Jesus? I'm not weird. Hey, do you know Jesus? Are you going to the 12th floor? Good. That leaves me 11 floors to talk to you about Jesus. Okay. Good luck with that.
I want to know. I want to see where you're at. I'm not trying to change your mind. I want to see what you got for me.
Hey, Tony.
I'll tell you where I'm at.
You know what I'm saying?
Where I'm at. This is going to be the podcast.
43. We got 7 more, y'all. 30 minutes. I know we can do it. In fact, I think we can do it in 10.
Where I convinced the two of you to go back to calling yourselves Christians.
Hey, that'd be
I'm
a
going
good
to convert. There's going to be a Baha'i converting 2 ex-evangelicals back to Christianity over the course of this conversation.
All right, you've got
ready?
a title. Bring it on.
Fasten your seatbelts. You have enough hairspray? I'm teasing. You guys have great hair. Like, seeing you in person, like, God damn it. Mine is just like...
Yeah, why? See, I have great hair, but people say that not because I'm trying to. It's just, that's just what I got, It's just what I got. And that's why you can find strands of my hair on MadeByJimbob.com. There's a section called Only Strands. And they're $10 for one strand, unwashed, and sealed for eternity in a vial. Hello, Abby. Hello, Abby. Abby, you've been here for a bit, and you're just now saying hello, but we've been with you for so long. Thank you, Abby. $5. 45. Thank you for that, Gorilla Biscuits.
It's pathetic. There's so much I want to say here, but you guys have so much to say, too. First of all, it sounds...
JB, bath water selling? I don't take baths.
a little bit like, in a way, you're deprogramming yourselves from having been in a cult.
Sounds like that.
It sounds like that a little bit.
Kind of super. Which one's scary? Will, which one's scary?
And I do not want to say that, evangelical Christianity is a cult.
I mean, I'll call it a cult. It's definitely a fault. If anything that's not the true church is a cult, I'll call it a cult. I don't care. I think it is a cult because there's no like you go to different quote churches and it's just the personality of the preacher. You know. Crew, thank you so much. $2. You look like Gaston from Beauty and the Beast. Me? Here, I could actually make that more true. Ready? Belle, come with me and let's start a family. Gaston was right, by the way.
I don't want to say.
Gaston was like, this is a filthy place. You're going to get accosted. Come with me. I'm a man. I'll take care of you. You can do womanly things and raise my children. She's like, no, I'm a feminist. I'm going to go have sex with an animal instead. What's the moral of the story? Excuse me? What? You reject the masculine dude who's going to take care of you so you can fall in love with an animal. Okay. St. John of Kronstadt was a street preacher. I mean, I guess. But I don't know. The term street preacher, Wi-Fi gospel, is a little bit ambiguous there.
Say that at all. I know so many evangelicals and born-agains and that are just filled with light and service and love and absolutely make the world a better place. But
yeah, Gaston has big shoulders.
You know, I'll just share for myself that, you know, I had my big falling out from my faith growing up and but like growing up Baha'i, the idea of God was very
can you have faith without okay, this is the rich stuff, right? Because all of these people leave, and for good reasons, maybe for bad reasons. They leave their evangelical cults and their Mormon cults and heterodox and praise and worship super arenas, and they leave, you know, because it's not full. It doesn't. I hate to use this term, but it applies to these three. It doesn't resonate. It doesn't resonate as true or good or transcendent. So they leave. It's not a loss, by the way, these people leaving evangelicalism. It's not like, oh, another one down. No, it's actually definitely not how I perceive it. Slaby Koopa, 29, thank you so much. Last Sunday, I went to my first Divine Liturgy. Glory to God. Your work helped me to make that first step. Thank you a lot. You're welcome, and thank you for going and letting us know that you went. I hope you keep going. It just gets richer and richer, Slaby Kuba. If you thought it was amazing, it just deepens and deepens, and you can take your time. You don't even have to rush through any of it. You don't have to learn everything. You can just go like Provo did. God bless Provo and his family. He's still on that path, Provo. And not to get all sentimental, but having known you at least on the internet for a couple of years, I think now, it's great. It's just so fulfilling and rewarding for me to see even you taking like small inquisitive steps into orthodoxy and talking about it is just awesome. Even if it makes EBT feel gross, you know, even if it makes him wiggle around and squirrel about in his chair, in his gaming chair, you know, I think it's worth it.
Baha'i or not, and that's between them and God. And their parents, in some ways, have nothing to do with it. Their community, their church has nothing to do with that. This is a right and a responsibility to really dig in. Whereas in a lot of evangelical communities, not all, and a lot of them, you know, questioning is not accepted. It's Satan.
I got to go to confession vespers. Oh, you know what? One of the early things that I did that maybe I wouldn't recommend for just inquirers is full forgiveness vespers. Megan and I did that, and our children were sort of in the back, just kind of sitting there watching, I don't know, 45 minutes of individual repetitive prostrations, full prostrations. Maybe that's not your first step. Draco, $20. Thank you so much. How can I look more like a clown? Red frame glasses, perfect. Yeah, why not? It's the best way. And it took him a long time to get to pick those out, which is fine. Like for us to be like, how do I look like a clown? I'll get these glasses. 5 minutes.
It's
He actually took his time.
devil whispering. It's a path to the dark side. But I would applaud.
Look like a kind of a clown. I actually want to know about you. You're not like well known in the political sphere, but I feel like just the way you look, I would love to have you on Tucky Carlson. Love to come out to the cabin. Have you ever shot a gun? You look like a 20, kind of a guy who likes a 22 caliber. No offense. You just don't look that strong.
Applaud even what you're doing with prayer. Like, I'm going to test this out a little bit.
Yeah.
Dear God, please help Christy. Oh, this is crazy. Oh my God. Am I really doing this? Is there a God? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
a natural part of the process. I think probably 80% of the people listening to this podcast right now have experienced something like that. And the fact that you're sharing it is really fantastic. I have so much to say about
Yeah, this is
the
gonna be
rocket ship to
this is gonna
God
be a long
from Jesus.
conversation.
But
Okay. Crucible Crusader, $2 makes it the goal. Here I go again, trying to reach 50. Here we go. How do I do this? How do I even do this, man? Okay, ready? That man on the screen making that face on the screen is more masculine than me in this very moment. This is an embarrassment. I'm going to therapy for it. Pitiful. Just like no lungs. I don't have a chance. You know what I need? There's too much pressure. I need to do it again without the goal part. Can I try again? Pretty sure he's gay. I think he did. I think that's ultimately what it was. It was like, well, is it evangelicalism or is it me and Liam? I don't know why they're presented as a couple though. Is this what's happening? What's happening? Is this a couple? Okay, it's 42. I kind of redeemed myself. 18 more seconds, though. 18 more seconds? What are we even looking at?
Yeah, but when I bring this stuff up about God and prayer, what comes to your mind?
What am I even looking at?
So I think
So my idea of prayer and my idea of God goes like this. It's a little bit like this.
the only way I can tell you this is by contextualizing it in my story of
Your story.
why I no longer call myself a Christian, right? So for me, this is the very quick and dirty
Cute ring.
version.
Cute pointer finger ring.
How dirty? Are you talking about
So
butt
dirty.
plugs?
No butt plugs. No, they're not. Butt plugs are not in the Bible. And so we have to have an
Dude.
apologetic. We have to have a defense of our
Every
faith.
time.
We have to say that the Bible is true in everything that it speaks of, not necessarily literal.
I'm gonna pass out. No, I got a good handle of when I'm scared of that, but I feel like I know.
Really true.
That's what everyone says, right? Those deep diver people, they think that too.
There's like different views of like the days of creation or whatever.
One day I'll get it.
But ultimately, there is some truth in that it has been revealed in the Bible itself and in the person of Jesus. That's a huge claim. And the exclusive revelation of God is in the Bible and in the person of Jesus Christ, right? Like the main revelation, right? If you're a Catholic, okay, there's church tradition, but whatever. It's the Bible is the main thing.
See, he's already looking at this through a lens of like what's considered evidence, as opposed to also using a philosophical lens to argue for the necessity of the second person. It's not just Christianity is true because the Bible says it's true. That's kind of how everyone's raised. You know, so when the atheists use this, they're actually not straw manning a bunch of people. They're to be fair, they're steel manning a lot of people. This is why the philosophical angle and like a paradigm level argument case for Christianity, specifically Orthodox Christianity being true, is multi-tiered. It's not a single claim. It's not a single claim in a vacuum, where then you make a claim and then what? You use empiricism to track back the claim? Oh, well, let's do street epistemology. Now, is it his fault that being raised in evangelicalism, he doesn't actually have this other element, the metaphysics of orthodoxy, to then examine this claim? No, he has one standard. He's coincidentally using the atheist standard. That's what you're left with. So why wouldn't you leave your paradigm, your quote religion, if using the atheist paradigm for cross-examining it leaves it demonstrably lackluster, you know, in every case? Of course you'd leave it. Good. You should leave it. In fact, you should leave it. It's not closer to truth because it has a name. It's not closer to truth just because it has a name.
So I took that as something that, if that's true, that's the most important thing to know, you know, in terms of knowledge. And then when I began to really dig into that claim over the course of 20 years, really, starting in college.
He's using autonomous epistemology to determine whether or not theonomous epistemology is true. You see how silly this is? But he doesn't know it. He doesn't have these distinctions. He's like, in order for God to be essentially the grounding for all things, you need some system that precedes empiricism and rationalism and the rest of the models of truth. You need it to be actually sourced and delivered somehow. That's why, like, if you don't have revelation, many religions who say they have God, knowledge of God, don't have a revelatory system. And so this is a much bigger issue, and why wouldn't he leave? He's examining ultimately what would be a theonomous view of everything, including knowledge. And he's cross-examining it from an autonomous view.
But then, I've continued on doing that. I still do that. At some point, I became convinced that this was much more man than God.
See, autonomous. This is autonomous. So would he say the same for truth? This is where I would take it. I wouldn't quarrel with all of these little particular claims. I would simply ask one question. Okay? One question. Is that the same for truth? Is truth itself just like an illusory, inviting, purely conceptual thing we all just kind of play a game with, right? Is it mostly man? Is truth mostly man? Now, is Dwight from The Office going to be able to ask? No, he can't answer.
This enterprise, what had made it into the Bible and what we understood about Jesus, even when we think about the central claim of Christianity, which is the death and resurrection of Jesus, right? And you think about what we have in the four Gospels. Well, Mark, the earliest Gospel, we don't have any post-resurrection appearances. Mm-hmm. But, then we have Matthew and we have Luke, and then finally we have John, written most recently. And in this Gospel, we have Jesus claiming to be God. If Jesus claiming to be God in the flesh is such a central element of Christianity, how come the three other guys didn't decide to talk about this in an explicit way? Mm-hmm. And so basically,
that's an argument from incredulity, by the way. Dude, I swear, he looks like an AI. Someone was like, take young Peter Sutherland and mix him with the dog from Neverending Story, and then make him a counter-apologist.
Basically, in looking at it, you see that it feels like a religious movement. It feels like a framework that people created around a real person who said real things, and some of those things are preserved or whatever. I got to this place where I was like, what am I having faith in? And I had to kind of push it all away, because I was like,
what you have faith in is your own reasoning. That's all it is your own reasoning. You're just using pure reasoning. Use pure reasoning and what I think empirical data would show, or what I think should be the case if this was true. That's just all your own incredulous standards you're assuming.
I can't.
This guy's low tier for being like a somewhat famous apologist online for so long. Super low tier.
Decipher what parts of this are true or not, and I can't decipher what's the difference between this faith and this faith over here and this faith. They all seem like the enterprise of man trying to figure out and add some structure to whatever this, and understanding to whatever this thing is, right? Mm. And so for me, that was disconnecting from it completely. I went through a little bit of an angry atheist phase or whatever, but just from a philosophical standpoint, the idea that there is some purpose and meaning and intention behind the universe is something I want to believe. I think I mostly believe it because I want to believe it. I find some of the argument.
Wow. Oh, I see. So the reason that you hold a view that there's purpose and meaning in the universe isn't because there's demonstrably purpose and meaning in the universe that you can actually observe, but it's because you want to believe that, but there's no purpose to you wanting to believe that. Also, there's no purpose to you thinking. This is true spiritual delusion. This is prelest, top tier prelest. It's so self-refuting But going on a podcast with a comedian and this guy, whoever this one is over here, you're not going to get a pushback. You're not going to go, well, hold on a second. Did you use your reasoning to come to this conclusion? He says, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I'm using reasoning. Oh, so there's no purpose to your reasoning? No, that's... I mean, it's just so stupid. It's frustratingly stupid. The Trinity is found throughout the both Old and New Testament. That's correct. The guy's talking... Yeah, he's doing basic level Muslim arguments.
Arguments, you know, from design or the fact that there's something rather than nothing. Some of the stuff you talk about in your book, I find somewhat compelling, but I can have like a really smart atheist sit down and break them down, and I'm like, well, okay, that's kind of convincing.
It's convincing for an atheist to, quote, break something down when your view, the thing that you're breaking down, is that there's no purpose in him breaking anything down. This is why it's not intellectual. So don't get mad like I do. Don't be Jimbob. Don't be Jimbob. Don't get all mad and flustered and want to throw things. It's not intellectual. It's spiritual.
Then you can have a really smart theory.
You can't see the intellectual problems if your spiritual, noose, if your windshield is clouded. That's like saying, like, why can't they see the block in the road? And you're like, they have a clouded windshield. Yeah, but why can't they see it? Why can't they see the thing they're about to crash into? They have a clouded windshield. Yeah, but why can't they think? Why can't they use a rational approach to wipe their windshield?
Theist come over here and be like,
Sure.
That's kind of convincing.
Sure.
So I find it's less about coming down on one.
Ori, Pissed Bob, yeah. Ori's a great game, by the way. It's a little like, I don't know, weird, spiritually pagan. There's something gross spiritually about it, I'll admit. But gameplay, great game. Really good.
One side of the fence of that argument, because it's not like I'm going to be in the middle of a philosophical
Yeah, Dan Clown. This is all classical foundationalism.
thought and be like, find God in that, if that makes sense. I feel like if God exists, then connecting with that God is going to be something that happens on a different level than just some rational thought. So
You just refuted all of your counter arguments to Christianity being true then.
that's where I
Also, take the 19 feet of yellow cord off the table, bro. What are you going to get up and dance? Pride is one hell of a drug.
find myself right now.
Yeah, you're just in contradictions and nobody knows. They're not going to notice a contradiction on this set, wherever this set is, where they rent some old lady's house.
Now is, okay, what does spirituality look like? And I'm in the middle of reading a book by this woman, Brittany Hartley.
That's your first mistake.
She has a book called No Nonsense Spirituality, which I think is
Okay, so I get it. So you're gonna be guided in your spirituality from some woman who wrote a book, Rhett. Okay.
Does someone need a little bit of milk? Does someone want a spiritual booby? Does someone need to be held for a little longer?
I'm such a dick. I am such a dick.
actually the name of her like TikTok channel as well. And she is
Oh yeah, that's where you find your spirituality, Rhett, on TikTok. So there I was, I was pretty sure about, leaving anything that called itself Christianity. Now I'm lost and I'm like trying to gain some more wisdom. And so there I am. I'm just looking at TikTok and I found this woman. And this woman on TikTok has a book that I'm now reading. What kind of name is Rhett? It's a weird name. It's a name for a horse. That's what it is. Not a racing horse. It's not a good racing horse. Unless it was like Rhett the Bet or something like that. But Rhett is definitely like a home hobby horse's name.
is an ex-Mormon, highly educated.
Oh, I know exactly who he's talking about. The Mormon with the nose piercing. She's adequately destroys Mormonism. I'm not going to stop her from doing that. But her other arguments against general theism or even Christianity they're so broken. I know exactly who he's talking about. But she wrote a book though, so
and kind of
short for retard.
has done the deep dive
I mean, Rhett could be a good name. We're just hating on it because he's being silly.
herself on a lot of these things, and where she's ended up
He definitely Rhett's the bed. Nice, Rip. Nicely done, Rip.
landing is in this place where spirituality is incredibly important. There's a lot of people like her, and I think like me, who have a difficult time buying any bullshit, for lack of a better word, right?
But you bought a book from a woman talking about spirituality on TikTok. That's rich, Rhett. That's rich.
And so what she says is like, there's all these really useful spiritual tools that religious communities and traditions have.
You mean like human sacrifice? What's wrong with it? It's spiritual. What do you mean? It's part of my spiritual journey. Tell me how it's wrong. It's spiritual, not religious. That you're always going to get this trope. Spiritual. I'm spiritual, not religious. Religion's organized. That's terrible. What? Oh, you know what? I like words. I like words a lot, but I just don't like meaning. You know, meaning it's all structured. You know what I mean? I like order. I just don't like rules. You know?
Come up with that are essential to human flourishing. Community, ritual, service, purpose and meaning.
Look at him. He's like, I'm learning in real time. I'm learning. I'm so thankful for this Rhett in my life. I am just absorbing. I'm absorbing him. I am loving. I am open. I love Annie DeFranco.
Her theory is that, you know, people basically, we created these things for ourselves because we need them, and we can still have them without having to have.
That even doesn't really make sense. Even that statement.
The belief in the grand narrative that you may, like, if you're like me, have a difficult time buying into. But that doesn't.
This is like a 10th grader. This is like a 10th grader trying to think through the first elements of questioning religion.
mean you just become.
Is neotenized a word? We are neotenized.
I'm a atheist who's like, spirituality isn't important. So I think I'm in the middle of figuring out what does connection with those essential aspects of the human experience, which might involve connection with some kind of mind beyond my own.
Right there, he's getting into tag, if you just heard it. So he's saying there's a set of necessary conditions and aspects of reality that need to be the case before you can come to these notions of whatever, right? Well, the Christian view, Rhett, and you're not going to get any other view that can actually make this argument, is the transcendental argument for God. He just admitted, at least I'm going to give him credit, at least he just adequately and eloquently laid out the necessary preconditions for X.
But I may not ever be able to define that, and that's okay. That's
Yeah, no. Who says that's okay? What do you mean?
I'm in that.
Yeah. And that,
Yeah, total. The world of ambiguity. It's safe here. You want to get to the truth, but you don't want it to be narrow. You want there to be an absolute truth that is narrow, but when someone proposes what it is, you reject it because it's too narrow. Totally. I totally get you. I feel like we're in an episode of The Office right now.
that search and that
Yeah,
journey.
yeah.
Yeah.
That journey, that search, that journey.
He's ripe for reconversion. Right?
Yeah, he really is. He really is.
Go for it.
I mean,
Who's going to reconvert? Well, Dwight's theology, whatever that is. Snagglebee's $5. The guy on the left thought it was a good thing to put hair gel in after jogging through the wind tunnel. Both of them doing intentional messy. Yeah, they're doing it. They're doing the thing. Big fans of Jesse Wells. Big fans.
here's what I'll say. I don't think that one needs to conceive of God in terms of the Trinity. And I don't think the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit actually holds water when you look at the Bible itself.
Be off, demon! I don't think that the Trinity actually holds a water when you really think about it. Oh, really? I could just levy the argument for love, which these guys are obsessed with, like the general concept of love, right? The relational argument is, to me, it's unscathed and it's old. I forgot who did it. Someone in the chat. Where's my nerds? Where's my philosophy? Well, patristic faith is here. He is the herder. He's the shepherd of philosophy nerds. Who was the philosopher, patristic faith, who levied the relational argument for the Trinity? It's just so rich because these people are obsessed with these, like, sort of like these categories to them, which are just purely conceptual, like love, forgiveness, understanding, compassion, humility. They love these things, right? Gratitude cafe. Halva number 2, say it. Gratitude from my heart. Can I just say number 2? No. Say gratitude from my heart right now. They love this stuff. And yet when you think about these things, if they are in fact true and they're valid and they have their own type of ontology, if they're not grounded in a knowable being, but not just that, a particular kind of being that is relational, a relational being, they are not grounded in anything but your own self-love. So this comes up with Unitarian debates all the time. These guys like to say God is singular, just one person. He's God the Father. No one can be him. They presuppose God means singular. That's their critique against Trinitarianism, is that they presuppose God means singular. That's their critique. Circular. You ask them a simple question. Instead of trying to explain on a chalkboard the Trinity, which I'm not adequately trained to do in that level. I don't know what a spiration is. God bless those who do. But just simple things like you could ask Rhett here or this guy or the other messy-haired guy, and just simple question. Whoever God is or whatever God is from your weird, ambiguous view, would you say that God, if he did exist, if love does exist, would it not be grounded in the very being of God? And they would probably say yes. Unless they thought it was a creature. You know. Creature. Kind of like Tim Gordon said, God's glory is a creature. Now, if you do hold that position, it's done for anyway. It says knowledge is a creature. Everything you think is good about being human that we should do is just temporary. It's grounded in temporality. So it's nothing. It's fleeting, finite. It's as illusory as your life. But the relational argument is killer because you get them to concede to premise one. They agree and they say, yeah, God would be the grounding for something like love. Yeah, okay, good. So it's his very being, right? His very being is grounded in love. Okay. And they go, yeah, that makes sense. Cool. So is it eternal then? Because his being, if God exists, he's eternal or he's not God. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. So then love's eternal? Yeah. Before creation. Okay, cool. So is love relational? The way in which you know love, for any of my Unitarian tards in the chat, for all of the ways you know love, that you participate in love, is it always relational? Yes. It is. So that's pretty much it for their argument. Are these two the real life Beavis and Butthead? I don't know what they are. It's like Beavis and Butthead. There was an episode where Queer Eye for the Straight guy came into Beavis and Butthead world, give him a makeover. Rain is going full perennialism. Yeah, he's been there. He's been there for a bit.
And I think that was created hundreds of years after the death of Jesus as a understandable and convenient way to try and understand divinity.
No. Old Testament, right? The plurality of Elohim. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about, but what are we expecting here?
Because here are these Christians going, wait. He calls God the Father, and he says, I am the Son. Says, I and the Father am one. Does that mean he's God? And they're just
It's more than that, Rhett and Rain. It's more than that. Not only are theophanies demonstrations of the plurality of God. Otherwise, what are you talking about? Like, if you're going to be a Christian and then grant Christianity, but then examine the Trinity, you're going to have to examine the Old Testament and how revelation occurs. You can't just say, no. You can't say no to those things. But further, if you agree that Christ is, this is just from a logical perspective, like we expect Christians, people who call themselves Christians at least, to accept John, that all of creation was through Christ. If Christ is a creature, then all of creation happened through creation. That's logically incoherent. If Christ is the only begotten Son of God, there's something peculiar about Christ being he's the only begotten Son of God. That means we're not the only begotten sons of God. There's not a group, a population of begotten sons. If that's true, what we know reflective of God is that sons share what of their fathers? The natures. Well, sorry, Unitarians. Sorry, Rain. Sorry, Rhett. If Christ is the only begotten Son of God and sons share their father's nature, then the father's nature is eternally uncreated. So the Son must be eternally begotten, eternally uncreated.
Pulling their hair out, what is that? How does the Holy Spirit, did his body literally float up to heaven, or did his spirit float up to heaven? No, his
new body. Oh my gosh. This is actually making me physically ill. I'm getting physically ill. Okay, I just can't. It's like Owen Benjamin all over again. Does science prove or disprove God? Okay, let's see their grasp of the categories between science and supernaturalism. I hope this guy talks.
New walk of life, right?
So there I was at a runway in Los Angeles. And I knew it was going to be a wild runway, and I knew that they needed me there.
That gives me pause in a good way.
And it's
that
hard
gives
to
me
imagine.
hope.
It's hard.
Earth says love is to will the good. Do you agree with this definition of love? Not necessarily. I mean, in a general sense, you could say, like, if love requires sacrifice, the sacrifice in pursuit of love or theosis or goodness would itself be included in the good. I don't know if I would reduce it, Earth, to that simple. That's very simple. But in a sense, willing the good, like aligning your will with God would be good. But then it becomes like
Christ was like
tautology.
New body who does.
New body what? What did he say? Wait, what? Sorry, I missed that. What if Christ was like new body who dis? He's like, what is this body?
Hard to imagine that there. I think I've heard and agree with this that atheism, can really effectively tear something down. It can't really. It's hard to build something, right? It's hard to imagine somebody from a strictly secular perspective saying that, being able to enter into that situation that Greg Boyle is able to enter into with that guy. At some point there has to be some appeal to the universal love or something, whether you use the term God or not. You see where I'm going with that?
One thing we've been doing with recent guests is sidebar. Define what the word soul means to you. It's a tricky word, right? I mean, to some people, it's literally the divine part of ourselves that goes to heaven to be with the Father. To other people, it can be like feeling the funk, in terms of music. It can be a certain warmth. When we've called this soul boom. Mm-hmm. What does the word soul mean to you guys when I say that?
I mean, I am a big music fan. Like that's my main hobby, getting into DJing. So first thing,
I quit music. I'm selling my guitars now.
Go!
It's infected. It's gone. It's over. It's done. I quit. Selling everything.
I think is James Brown and the whole genre of soul. But I think it's someone pouring themselves out, and there's a
Okay, story time now. They're like, what do you think when you hear the word vernacular? Germicular. What do you feel when you hear the word germicular? Well, my take on this is the pouring out of the musical notes on the page. The heart and the intentionality of changing a string on your ukulele. That's what I think it means. This is open. This is free interpretation time, right? This is proprietary jibber jabber, right? We're just doing proprietary jibber jabber.
it's this feeling that
It's a feeling.
then connects and motivates movement.
I mean, he got close, like the term like anima, like an activated animated will. But then again, like from the Greek, like we wouldn't even reject a different kind of soul or animation for animals. This is why a paradigm is so important, that when you get into metaphysics, this is where all of it breaks down and why nobody wants to go there. They're like, oh, you're pre-sup and you're doing philo bro stuff. Well, it's super important. Yeah, can it get boring and can you get lost in the minutia, and then you're defining what a chair is, and yeah, okay, fair enough. But the thing is, these questions need to be asked, and you need to connect all of your theory-laden terms, and you have to connect them in a coherent web of knowledge, right? So if there's a web of knowledge that's theory-laden and it's not autonomous, and it starts from a point in a center, like, for the lack of a better analogy visually, a spider web with a center. And then what sprouts from the center? Well, the anchor points of the center, the strongest elements of the web, the strongest pillars, In philosophy, maybe it's epistemology, metaphysics, morality. Maybe if it's Christian, you get all the branches of Christianity: soteriology, Christology, eschatology, ecclesiology. We could say all the fancy words. Just to drive the point home is that this is a web of knowledge, and so you can't just dance on one strand of the web and then use proprietary definitions to just define one of the main anchor points of the web into existence. But that's what they do. This is what, like, going off your feelings does. You just feel the definition. I'm gonna really try to define it what it is for me.
So I think my answer,
Patristic faith says soul is a form/essence and is the first actuality of a body having a life potentiality in it. Interesting. So, like, people, patristic faith, who interchange the words soul and personhood, that's technically a distinction that would need to be made because the nature of something doesn't do anything, whereas the person does, the energy does. So does that mean that patristic faith, that soul essence is more of a what, and the who acts is proper, the acting and the personhood is proper to the form and the essence? Or is it like the combination of like essence and actualizing in some sort of like a movement, animation?
There has to be.
Well, the question is good because it shows that like you can have all these distinctions, but they're not necessarily separated in their own vacuum, which is really central to the core of Christian theology. You start to see all of the places where, for instance, in my debates with evolution with Christian proponents like Inspiring Philosophy and Redeemed Zoomer, they try to define made in God's image as just simply an animated object. It could have been anything. It's not, your form has nothing to do with being made in God's image from their view. It's just like an evolved form where we can get by. They don't actually hold a view that being made in God's image, to be made as man, includes the purposeful shape and form of our body, tied to our spirit and our mind, that these are all distinct but inseparable things, tripartite, if you will, but they like swap them out. Redeemed Zoomer actually told me that, that essentially a donkey, it could be made in God's image. You just have to get that animated part in there, and it's just a donkey human. Okay, I'm out. Tap out. I'm tapping out. Persons aren't souls, they have souls. That's a good distinction, because that's even easy from just my own intuitive stance. You could see like the impulse to be like, I'm a soul, like it's me, my soul, I'm experiencing my soul, the thing that's like acting and thinking, but that's your person. So it's an interesting distinction. And honestly, for a lot of these, not a lot, but things like that, I give a little more charity when people have a difficult time using the limitation of analogy and language to try to like peel away these distinctions, but also hold that there's ligaments, so to speak, metaphysical ligaments that bind them together at the same time.
Be somewhere in there.
You win, by the way. You win.
I think it has to be in there.
You just won.
He just won. Can't you see? Clearly he's winning. Patristic Faith says, although animal and plant souls can do stuff and they aren't persons, however, they don't have wills, or at least the same kind of wills humans have. To act here would be different. Yeah, it would be a different type of will. It's like almost like the best vegan argument. Thank you for that, Vagine. Really appreciate
Scotty
that.
coins for the coffer.
Thank you, yeah. The best approach for a vegan would actually be a Christian, Orthodox Christian view, but holding that view would then negate their moral argument for veganism. Because you'd make that distinction between the will of an animal and the will of a man.
Of all the previous.
What's the deciding factor there for a Christian? The status of being made in the image of God, a unique creature, unique, peculiar, in its very status. Not a more complex creature, just for complexity's sake. Oh, is God made a more complex creature? That's why we're awesome. We're more complex. We're Terminators. We're awesome.
Themselves out, yeah. Someone pouring themselves out and forcing them to movement. I mean, because that defines both faith and music.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
Well, should I even
I love it. Can you sign
should
my
I-
back? Can you sign my back?
offer my
just shake it out.
definition?
No one cares.
It's all just like, does it sound good? You know what method they're using to determine whether or not his definition of soul is good? The same way they determine whether or not the lyrics of Red Hot Chili Peppers are good.
Oh, go ahead.
That was really good, Link. I agree with Link.
I did a goodie.
I see
Skies are blue.
soul as the deepest.
Oh, this is just putrid. This is like if you wanted a beer, but you knew you were late and maybe it was closing time, but there was a little group of drunk women in the corner and they were trying to get them out, but they also didn't mind that they were there because it was kind of fun. And then here's Tiffany, who's had the most shots.
I this all is like Oh, sorry, I'm gonna puke, you guys. Should we walk home?
Essence of a person.
Okay, well, he got it right. So now I have to take out back everything I just said.
That thing that makes you uniquely you, that
Jimbob. Rhett got something right. Okay.
when you are able to connect with it and express it, it brings people to movement. No, I think that for me, it's what makes you you.
It's pretty damn good right there, too. Excellent. Gold medal, silver medal.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll take it.
Wait, no, he got the gold medal, not you, not him. Wait a second, is that the guy from Ferris Bueller's Days Off? Is that what he's doing now? What's happening? Where did this guy come from anyway?
Yeah.
I mean, one of the great things about religion is that as people go through the very difficult things in life, somebody dies, somebody gets sick.
Yeah, L hand on face, he got it right. But there's a lava lamp behind him. So, does that count for anything when someone's right, but they have a lava lamp behind them? And does it give me any?
Somebody's getting married, which not necessarily difficult. It is difficult, but these monumental stages of life is that we have the words, we have the tools, we have the ritual, we have the thing to say at times. And when you jettison that and you're like, well, okay, it's Thanksgiving. We're all gathered together as a family. What I do when I gather my family and my wife's family together, and they're all still very strong, believing evangelical Christians. We still have a great relationship. But they know where I stand. And we really don't talk about it that much.
Oh, I was following a meme. My bad, Rhett. I saw a meme that said you came out of the closet. I'm sorry for repeating it. Lord, forgive me. I said something. I didn't declare it so. I just heard it. So I repeated gossip. I'm sorry, Rhett. You still have a lava lamp behind you, though. So,
Much. But I'm not going to pray some universal love prayer with them. I'm going to ask one of them to pray because the majority in that situation are Bible-believing Christians.
Yeah.
But it does kind of like there's something missing when you're like, well, I feel like I have a spiritual life. I have something to offer spiritually, but I can't pray in this environment because it wouldn't fit because it doesn't have the
welcome to orthodoxy.
right language and the right object of the prayer. Do you see
Well, that's just being sensitive to a situation.
Yeah.
And it might be really
Let's just call it being prudent. Patristic Faith says, and will is not a choice between good and evil. Free will is defined as a choice between multiple goods. Right. Yeah, because I actually got caught in that trap, Patristic Faith, once, because I was holding a position without really thinking it through that free will must be able, you must be able to do evil with free will, but that's actually not true.
off-putting to sit there with some evangelicals and go, "Oh, radiant light of the universe, bring
I wouldn't do
mercy."
that.
And like,
I wouldn't do it, but I'm kind of just like, religion provides those tools, whether or not there's a understandable metaphysical reality associated with it. There's value in it, and I'm just trying to figure out how do you, when you're a skeptic, how do you?
Sudhai, why Jimbob? Why? Because if you hold to a good and evil approach and it necessitates a will, even a choice between multiple goods, even in the fallen world we're in where sin is possible through Adam, if and when you're united with God, you actually can't do evil, but logically you can still do good. You still have will. So that would mean that unity with God and with a new body to act out, you would still be able to make choices. You'd still have free will between multiple goods. Just because free will permits evil in the state we're in doesn't follow that free will requires evil to be possible. Doesn't follow.
Move into those spaces and experience.
Well, but I think the God question is at the center of it because of that it was for me on my journey. So,
and if you like these questions, I'm definitely not the best person to answer. Patristic Faith, blessed with his appearance here in the chat, you should go follow him because he's very responsive in his live streams, extremely responsive, just like he is here, but he's way more in depth about it. So go over to Patristic Faith, go follow him. Just click on his thing, go follow it. He does great talks, great morning prayers, but he's very responsive to these things. If people find an interest in these questions, at least from an Orthodox perspective, he's the most responsive, aside from just going to get into a parish and ask a priest at your local parish.
I grew up, people know my story, I grew up a member of the Baha'i faith, which is very beautiful.
Arrow says evil. Yeah, evil doesn't have its own positive existence. Siddhart, which adds an additional point, which is like acting out evil, which is a privation of the good. So it's still in defiance of a positive thing existing.
Lovely faith with, love thy neighbor, eliminate prejudice, do social.
Like you can't be the shadow. You can't be the shadow. You can cause a shadow, you can cast a shadow, but you can't be the shadow. You can obstruct light.
Good, it's all great. I saw some hypocrisies in my faith.
Hypocrisies? That's going to be my rap name. Hip hop. Nope, it's too hard to say. Never mind. Damn, I'm collecting L's today. Shish kebab. I'm getting roasted. I'm roasting myself.
Certainly saw it in my parents and
give me some pity pennies already. You know what I mean? I should change my goal name.
Some Baha'is that I knew. I was angry and rebellious at the time. I also
process.
Their stuff. There was just
this is interesting.
There was just a thing, and then it exploded, and then there were
this section's called creativity as a spiritual practice. Okay, fair enough. This could be interesting here.
These things, and then there were solar systems, and then there was life, and then how did chemistry turn into biology? Like where did no one can explain that either. It's kind of Occam's razor is like the easiest explanation.
Who's Occam? Is that like some Finnish fisherman?
It's probably the most right one. It's like, well, then there's some kind of life force. There's some kind of source. There's some kind of creative energy. There's some kind of something beyond the mere material that is kind of like exploding us, inspiring us into some kind of greater life. And
why is every man turning into an old ant? What is happening? Is it the food? Is it secularism? Is it progressivism? Is it feminism? Why is it everyone turns into an old ant?
And meaning to me that just as the puzzle pieces fit together, that made the most sense. And then I went on a journey into religion and faith after I settled that. So when I throw that out to you all, to you kind of like former evangelical agnostic.
See, he should have an Orthodox Chad on, like a priest or someone, like push back on this stuff a little bit. You know what I mean? It's just all new age nonsense.
Sticks right now. Yep. Where does that land for you, Link?
That is
Link. Wait, his name's Link?
Inspiring. It's a beautiful description. It gives great perspective.
They're putting chemicals
chemicals in the water that turn the freaking prods
gay. Joe, they're doing it.
The prots are gay. Yeah, that's actually a funny meme synthesis of the frogs.
Pretty philosophical.
Trust the
It's very intellectual. I just made up that word.
Okay.
You're a poet. Has anyone ever told you that you're a poet?